All right, y'all, let's talk about something that quietly shuts down communication in marriage. It's the D word, defensiveness. Okay, so one of you brings up a concern, the other person gets loud, they get irritated, they may just shut down completely. Now, the conversation isn't about the issue anymore. It's now about defending yourself. And here's the hard part when defensiveness shows up, your spouse stops feeling safe enough to be honest with you. So they start holding things in instead of trying to work things out. In this video, we're going to talk about why that happens and how to keep conversations from turning into emotional shutdowns. I got your back. Let's dive in. Winning couples, I'm so happy you're here. I am Robin, and I believe in marriage exists to help Christian couples win in their marriage. And we want to make sure you have all the resources you need to actually win in your marriage. And so make sure you go to IBelieveInMarriage.com to check out all our resources. But today we are talking about what defensiveness does to communication in marriage. Now, y'all, let's keep it real. All of us have had those moments when somebody wants to talk to us about something. It doesn't even have to be your spouse, but especially your spouse, when you immediately begin to feel defensive. That thing happens inside of you. You know, your chest gets a little bit tight. You feel that annoyance. But if we respond from a place of defensiveness all the time, it will do long term damage to our marriage. So let's talk about what the pattern is. So, one of you or both of you might find yourself responding when your partner is bringing something to you, your partner approaches you with something, and instead of receiving it, instead of responding to it well, you begin to either shut down or your voice gets loud, or you show a sign of disrespect, or you walk away. You do something to let your partner know that you are not interested in having that conversation. And that's an indication that you've started to get defensive. It causes the conversation to shift. It's no longer about the issue. It really is about you protecting yourself. And if we're honest, it's really about us protecting our ego. And I know what some of you thinking, we're going to get to that in a minute, but I first want to normalize what is happening because every marriage is going to have tension. Every marriage is going to have a point of disagreement. And for the couples who say they never have a point of disagreement, I want you to know, as a marriage therapist has been working with couples for over 20 years, when a couple tells me that they never have any disagreement, a red flag goes up right away. I am instantly concerned because that's just not the reality of human nature. And so the truth is, every couple is going to have a misunderstanding. You're even going to have a moment where your spouse disappoints you or hurts you. But the problem is not those moments of frustration, it's how you respond to them. Now, when I say that, I have to pause and make this point because I have seen people in relationship who consistently do harm, then they'll apologize and they want their partner to immediately rebound. They do harm, they apologize, and they want their partner to immediately rebound. Let me say it again. They do harm, they apologize, and then they want their partner to immediately rebound. It is a pattern. And so the first time, maybe it was okay, the second time. But when this happens all the time, when you say reckless things, when you respond in a way that's not sensitive, when you're dismissive, but you come back very quickly and apologize, but then you want your partner to quickly rebound, that's not what we're talking about when we say that marriage is going to have moments. Moments should not be the norm. It should be the exception. Like, we're not having moments every single day. That is not what we're talking about when we say your marriage is going to have moments of disconnect. This is not about you blatantly doing things to harm or to disappoint or to be insensitive or to be disrespectful. And then I quickly apologize and I quickly want you to rebound. That's not healthy. I want to pause here because that made me think about pause and connect. Have you checked out the Pause and Connect weekly rhythm that you can access right from your favorite podcast app? It is a brand new resource where I am helping couples pause and connect. Every week, you get a brand new audio from me where you will hear a truth, a principle, be prompted to have a conversation, prompted to self reflect. It's a very easy, powerful resource that you and your spouse can check out. What made me think about it, and you can go to IBelieveInMarriage.com/pause to check it out. The link will be in the bio. But what made me think about it is most recently, one of the episodes within the private podcast app was on repair and how it's not just the argument that you have, it's how you respond after the argument. But there, just like I am doing now, I had to make sure that I indicated the difference. We are not talking about blatant disrespect with a quick apology and then expecting somebody to be able to bounce back or rebound. But every spouse, every couple are going to have those moments where you disconnect. So the goal is not about avoiding hard conversations. The goal is to create a safe space to be able to have them. Let me say it again. What happens, the pattern in marriage, when someone is consistently defensive, your partner brings something up to you. You either shut down or your voice gets loud or you get quickly annoyed because whatever they are saying is triggering you. In a marriage, you're going to have disagreements, you're going to have misunderstandings. You will not have a healthy marriage if you're constantly avoiding hard conversations. The goal is not to avoid hard conversations. The goal is to create a safe space to have them. And so I want to tell you what defensiveness actually looks like in the marriage. Your voice rises, your tone sharpens. And listen, don't gaslight your spouse, right? Because I don't know if this is the husband, I don't know if it's the wife, I don't know if it's both of you, but don't gaslight your spouse. What are you talking about? I'm not annoyed, but your tone has shifted because it's not just what you say, it's how you say it. So your volume is rising, your tone is shifting, you're interrupting, you're over explaining, you start to deflect. Your spouse is pointing out something that they're frustrated with, and you start to deflect and deflect it back onto them. You bring up old issues, you shut down emotionally, you walk away mid conversation. I know somebody is saying, Robin, do you have a camera in my house? I ain't got a camera in your house, baby. I just been in the trenches for 20 years. And quite frankly, can we keep it real? I can even relate to some of those things in my own marriage. I can have moments of being defensive. My husband can have moments of being defensive. And so I want you to know we in this together, babe. We are all growing. That's how I was able to be in your house without being in your house. So what often happens when that with that defensiveness, I want you to understand what your spouse is experiencing. When you immediately do any of the things that I listed, what's happening with your spouse is that your spouse feels unheard. Your spouse often may feel disrespected. They may feel dismissed. They may feel invalidated. And I really would hate this, but they may feel emotionally unsafe. That might sound dramatic to you. But if they share what they are feeling and you immediately defend, or you become disrespectful, or you walk away, or your voice rises, or you shut down, that makes them that can trigger them to not feel emotionally safe to share with you. And so if they stop feeling like they can share with you, they hold things in, they avoid topics, they walk around on eggshells, they may feel like they got to share with somebody else. Now, I'm not talking about something inappropriate, but they might feel like they can't talk to you, so they got to vent it to someone else. And so the defensiveness trains your spouse to stop talking to you. I'm pausing there because I really want you to hear that. The defensiveness trains your spouse to not come to you, to not talk to you. One of the things I want to pause here and ask you to ask yourself, what do you think your spouse's experience is within the confounds of your marriage? What do you think your spouse's experience is within the confines of your marriage? Do you make it easy for your spouse to talk to you? That's the question I want you to ask. So, what is the price that your marriage pays for defensiveness? Let me tell you. There's unspoken frustration that begins to build resentment. This is the price your marriage is paying for defensiveness. Unspoken frustration that builds resentment. Then that resentment turns into emotional distance. That emotional distance turns into disconnection. That disconnection turns into we can't even talk to each other. You become team, instead of being teammates, you become roommates. That's how it slowly begins to erode. The Bible says, watch out for the little foxes that destroy the vine. That's one of the little foxes. That defensiveness has gotten into the soil of your marriage, and it begins to eat away at the fabric of your marriage. And this really has nothing to do with whether or not y'all love each other. It's just that conversations no longer feel safe. And couples always come to me saying, our issue is communication. And I tell them, more than likely, the issue is not the communication. The issue is your connection. And somewhere along the line, the connection has begun to be eroded. And defensiveness is one of the ways that that happens. Baby, I already know this is helping somebody. So I want to talk about why we get defensive, and then I'm going to give you some strategies on what to do. When we feel defensive, again, I think most of us can relate to this. We may feel like our spouse is blaming us. We may feel emotionally inadequate. We may even feel attacked because I am not crazy. I know sometimes you can become defensiveness because your partner's tone wasn't right. The way they came to you wasn't right. They came to you with an accusation. They came to you in a certain way. And so you're feeling attacked immediately. That very well might be what's happening. And so we're not talking about your response being abnormal. We're just saying your response has to be matured. That was a bar for somebody. And so often we're just trying to protect ourselves. We're trying to be understood, but it's a landing with your spouse in a certain way because your spouse might have really practiced it. Like, okay, let me make sure I say the right thing. Let me make sure I come this way. Let me write it out. What I want to make sure not everybody is coming to you wrong, or your spouse is not always coming to you wrong. I am telling you, he or she probably thought about it over and over again, tried to make sure they said the right thing. Don't say one thing wrong, because if I say this one thing wrong, he or she is going to take it and run with that one little piece that was wrong. They've practiced and practiced, but they cannot ever get it quite right without your defensiveness coming up. I'm in somebody's house. I don't know whose house I'm in. I'm in somebody's house. And so what I want you to begin to tell yourself, and what I want you to begin to mature with, is that your spouse is coming to you because they care. And every concern is not an attack on you. Everything doesn't have to become a courtroom. Everything doesn't have to be litigated. You can begin to hear your spouse without defense. So I'm going to give you I think I'm going to give you five. I'm going to give you five strategies that you can use. Number one, when your spouse brings something to you, I want you to immediately take a deep breath and control your tone. Take a deep breath and control your tone. Because if your tone comes back where your voice is loud, where you're aggressive, that's an indication of defensiveness. And so I want you to take a deep breath and control your tone so that you can keep the conversation open. Because remember, we're maturing. We're not taking every conversation as an attack. We're not assuming every time somebody brings something to me that they're coming for me. So I'm going to take a deep breath and I'm going to manage my tone. Number two, our goal is to listen to understand, not to convince our partner that they are wrong. Your goal is to listen to understand, not to convince your partner that they are wrong. You don't immediately have to prepare your defense. You can even practice saying, wait, say it to me one more, even if you feel defensive, watch this. Say it to me one more time, because I know I was feeling a little bit defensive and I really want to be able to understand what you're saying. Somebody write that down. That was a great script. So one, we're going to take a deep breath. We're going to control our tone. Number two, we're going to listen to understand, not to immediately explain why our spouse was wrong. Number three, we're going to resist. Can I just say let me see if I can look myself in the mirror. I have to resist the urge to counterattack. And I don't find myself counterattacking. I wish my husband was here to tell you whether or not I do. But I am going to point, I know you ain't saying that about me. I know. But you're going to resist the urge to counterattack. Well, you do the same thing. Well, what about you? You're going to try to stay on the issue because you didn't bring it up. Your partner did. So you want to hear them well. Here's number four. You want to validate the emotion they are experiencing, even if you view the situation differently. Somebody say amen. You want to validate the emotion they are experiencing, even if you see it differently. What does that look like? You know what? I understand why that upset you, or I didn't even realize it landed that way, or um, you know what? I don't necessarily see it that way, but how you feel really matters to me. Write that one down. All right. And here's the fifth strategy. I want you to, if your emotions start to rise, remember you took a deep breath in the middle, in the beginning, but if your emotions start to rise, I want you to say, can we pause for a moment? Let's just pause for a moment. But here is the strategy. If you are the one that pauses, you have to be the one to circle back. So if you say, you know, let's just take 5 minutes, let's come right back here. I'll call you right back in 5 minutes. Or I'm gonna walk outside real quick. I'm gonna come right back because you want to practice pausing when your emotions are starting to escalate. Why do we want to do any of this? Why does any of this matter? Because we want to protect the covenant. And if your partner feels like they have to walk on eggshells all the time, if your partner feels like they can never bring anything to you, I just showed you what begins to happen. It slowly begins to erode the connection. And when the connection begins to fall apart, your intimacy falls apart. And I'm not talking about just physical intimacy, I'm talking about the intimacy in the marriage. Our goal is to help Christian couples win in the marriage. These strategies will help you and your spouse build your ability to have real conversation without defensiveness taking it away. All right, y'all, if that helped, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you leave a comment. Let us know which one of these strategies hit home the most. Send it to your spouse. This is a great conversation starter. I'll talk to you soon.